All right, guys, here we are. We got another day ahead of us. Gonna try to get the engine and outdrive off today. Gonna show you guys how to do that and get her out, and hopefully we'll get by the end of the weekend. It's Thursday right now. It's a long weekend coming up. I'm hoping to be able to work on it for most of the day Saturday and Monday as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get most of the boat tore out. On the outdrive, mostly it's just the 3 bolts on that side, 3 bolts on that side, and this bolt comes completely out. I'll show you guys how to do that. And that guy should just slide completely out. I'm gonna hop on. I got the outdrive off, got her up on this homemade stand. All it is some 2x3s, I think, from leftover pieces of skid. You're gonna want a gasket kit. It comes with this paper gasket. And this O-ring right in here, it's actually missing, so I'm assuming, yep, still part over here. And yeah, I think those are the only 2 pieces in the kit, so you're going to want to get those. It's only like 10 bucks or so. I'm going to take out the motor, and then I got to figure out how this piece comes off. I never had that off. I have had this guy off every spring to grease up the U-joints, make sure everything else is okay underneath. That is actually fairly simple. There's just all the wiring harness you need to unplug. I'll try to do that the best I can. Label it if you're not so great at it. It's the 2 bolts at the front, and then it is, see if I can get in there. There's 1 nut right here, and it's the same thing on the other side. You can't see it from there. You know what? Actually, I think you can. Right there is the other one. There it is. And make sure you label. For myself, I needed to label the shifter and the throttle. And then yeah, with the help of a overhead hoist, it sure makes it easier. You got your 2 anchoring points, and she just lifts on up. So we will get that done, and I'll try. So there we got her. We got her out. Hooray! Outdrive over there, and yeah, got a couple of bilge pumps. Replacing those with 1 automatic, 1 manual. 1 goes out to the left, 1 goes out to the right, and yeah. So on these side pieces, the I don't know, the side cushions that you lean up against, got some up there. The way that they come off, at least on this boat, is they're just held on by Velcro. I'll show you up over here. They just pull it back a little bit. Yeah, come on. The start is always a little finicky. You just pull it back, and then you got screws underneath holding them on. So I'll take those screws off on that side and see how it looks underneath. Oh, got those screws out. They came out very easy. There was no nuts or anything on the back, and looks like it just comes straight off. And yeah, it was just screwed on. So I'm gonna imagine it's gonna be the same both on starboard and port. So I'm only gonna show you guys on the one side, but after you got the door off, I'm gonna show you how to take rivets off on this side. Looks like there's rivets all the way along here. That'll get rid of this top piece. There's gonna be some rivets up along here. Not quite sure how that's held in on that side yet, but we'll figure it out. So that top piece came right off on this guy. There's 2 rivets up here, and you pull it back, and there's 1 right there, and 1 more right about there. So get those 2 out, and this pipe should come right off. Yeah, on this side, you can tell somebody's already had her apart, because that's where the rivet was. Zoom in there. There we go. That's where the rivet was, and that's where the screw is. That's where the rivet was, that's where the screw is. Why they didn't put it back in the same spot. So I got this panel off, and this is things that I just simply don't seem to comprehend. I can't imagine that this is factory, or why. There's a splice there, and then there's another one, splice here, and another one. I just don't understand why somebody would do this. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, but I really don't want to have to redo the whole wiring harness, but I may end up having to do that. Alright, so I'm going to quickly show you how to take off the steering wheel. There's this little cap in the center. You just take a screwdriver behind it, it pops out. 3/4 inch nut. I'm sure they vary with brand, make, model. Washer comes off. Now this guy was actually tight on there, so what I did was I took the nut, put it back on, You thread about halfway on so the threads are exposed on this end, and then you pry on it and you just give her a couple of taps with a hammer and it comes right off. So when you reinstall it, always put some lube on it, because she was a little bit corroded on there. You take the key out, and with this guy there's 2 screws. This guy was stripped, so this guy just comes off. You have these 3 bolts and it pushes through that way. You can take these 3 off and pull that part out. So on this side, turns out that these 3 bolts that were underneath here hold this actual piece of wood on the back. So what I always do is after I take it apart, if possible, I try to reassemble it the best I can. So I try to remember how it goes back together. So looking at the back, looks like the easiest way to get this guy apart is going to be to undo this cotter pin, or that pin holding it. And then it'll be taking this bolt out, and this whole block should come out, and we should be able to snake her right back through. So let's give that a shot. Turns out there's that 1 pin there, and this isn't actually a through bolt. It's just a bolt on top and a bolt on the bottom. So the top one comes out. There's a cotter pin going in there and a cotter pin going in there. And when it's in there, you can see a little groove that it holds the bolt in place. And that comes in, and all it does is the nut or the bolt just holds it in place there so it can still swivel. And that comes straight out. So yeah, it worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. A lot easier on this motor than it does on an outboard. Some of you guys probably want to know how to take off these caps. All you do is you take, these work nice, but a flat screwdriver works just as nice. You just kind of wiggle it underneath and they pop right off. And you can get these caps and these black caps pretty well at any marine store if they turn to be gross or corroded or whatever. Some of them get stuck in like that, and they're really cheap and inexpensive too. So I'm going to be taking the windshield out now that I got all the dash panels out and stuff. Got the side out, going to be taking the dash or the windshield off, and then I'll be able to take the dash out. There's this strip that comes all the way along and goes to that side. You can normally just again use a screwdriver and pop it up. If it gets brittle or at all, anything at all, heat it up first, and then it'll prevent it from breaking, because this is irreplaceable. You can't replace that. So if it's brittle, use heat. Yeah, that one came out fine. The screws came out fine, but this side, I broke the little chip off the top there. That piece was already broken, but I can't get it out. There's 2 or 3 screws underneath there, so I'm gonna try. I'll try and record this one the best I can. Comes right out nice and easy, and it's probably underneath that side. That side comes out, and then it slides out on that side. And we got her out now. Yeah, something I didn't know is I thought this was hinged or together in one piece, but it's not. It actually just slides together, but I think it actually has to slide together the other way. So I have to take this off first. So after you get all the screws out, there's actually a little bit of sealant that holds it all together. You'll want to just push off, and it comes right out, except for that one screw that didn't want to come out before. But this is what I meant by it's not actually together in one piece. It just slides right together along that track. It works out. Just got this side panel off, got that side off, it was fine. This side was so rotten, I couldn't even find the screws up there, sorry. And it ripped right through. And it's just like, just rotten. Got this side console out. I'm gonna show you how to do this side. There's the rivets along the top, which really you don't even need to do because that's the piece that's holding on there, and there's nothing actually holding this to this. So that's not even really necessary, but you got to do it eventually anyway. This piece here pretty well just floats. There's some screws up here, but the wood is all rotten. Same with up here. And then there is some screws along there. But there's also some on the bottom here. If I pull up this carpet, there's some on the bottom there. And then there are 2 screws, one here and one further down here. And then the whole thing pops right out. All right, guys, that's the end of Saturday. I got about 4 hours put in. I got the dashes out. I got the live wells somewhat over there. Looks like there was a rat in here at one time. And yeah, there's foam in there with the live wells. That'll be Monday's project. And got all that side ripped out, got all the wiring out. Got everything brought upstairs into the attic. And then when I need it, I can get to it. And yeah, so Monday I'll be taking those out. I'll be taking that side panel out. Hopefully the transom assembly, I believe it's called. And if I got enough time, I'm gonna be tearing out the whole floor. So we'll see you Monday. Morning, guys. Monday morning here, long weekend. And we had a storm over the night. I know, doesn't really show much, but I'm not gonna be working outside. I'm gonna be working in my shelter. Let's see how this is gonna work out. Hey, here we are, got some lighting set up, and we should be good to go. Goal for today, get the rest of it out. Start with the front, get the speakers out, get my trolling motor bracket and planer board mast off. Then get the transom assembly out, get that whole side taken care of, and then the floor. Let's get going. Well, I got a little bit further and I ran into an interesting situation. So it's got these little brackets here holding the lid on each of the corners, and had to sawzall them off because they're right stripped or corroded from the inside. And so we got that top piece off, but I figured we should be able to take out this centerpiece now and then access a little further and tear it apart. But they decided to get under there. They riveted this outside piece into the live well. So I need to be able to take off this whole top piece before I can take the rest of it out. Very, very, very dumb design. All right, so there are screws all the way along there, there, up there, to there, and most of these guys, looks like I actually still missed one. I sawzalled all these out just because it was, most of them were rotten on the inside. So I'm gonna take those 2 out, set on my camera up there, and then hopefully this will come in one piece and we'll find out what's under there together. So if we look at it this way, here we got your lines coming in. It goes to the front of the boat and then it splits for your feed. Alright, so we got another progress made. Got the gimbal housing assembly, I think that's what it's called, is out. Got the battery tray out. And got her sitting down there, gonna bring her inside. Fairly easy to do. You can't really screw it up. Just got 6 bolts and then they come apart and the other side comes from the outside. But I can't believe how thick this transom is. So that is insanely thick, but it's not even, I don't know. It's raw, it's soft, like it's picks away a little bit, but considering it's 30 years old, not so worse. All right, we're gonna tear up this floor and see what we find. This middle section where the fuel cell is, there's just screws all the way along the side, and it is actually aluminum, and it, oh, never mind, mine is wood. All the other ones that I've seen are actually aluminum. Set that guy aside, and there we got the fuel cell, and it's actually almost full. I'm gonna pump it out into my vehicles. I just filled it up recently. Thought I was gonna be out longer than I was. Actually, just gotta take off that little bracket and That little guy right there. So this will show you why exactly I am going to this extent to redo the boat. We pull that back and it looks just like newspaper pretty well. And that is most of the floor. As we go along, it just peels right up without issue whatsoever. I'll peel up this carpet and see what the rest of it looks like. Just like that. The glue wasn't even holding her down. The floor, it was just floating there. So on the passenger side here, again, exact same thing. Driver's side, if you look at it up here, that's where the live well would have been. Just like nothing at all. Obviously, driver's and passenger side, where the seat bases are, she's rotten. You know, the rest of it over here, it's actually not too bad. But back here again, constantly moist. You can see how dark it is still from being wet. And yeah, let's see what's holding this floor in. I'm gonna get the carpet tore up from the sides, and I think that's going to be a day. So easy. This carpet is coming out. I just grab it and I pull, and it comes. Like it just comes right up and off. The glue is barely holding it on anymore. Oh, got that wood tore up. Most of it came up nice, but looks like they poured the foam after they put the plywood in, because specifically this piece right there, you can see right about there, that it was actually stuck on the plywood. If I could look over the edge here, you can see how the foam was stuck to the plywood. So it did not come very nice. And just looking at it here, it's actually going to be more work along the floor than I thought it was going to be. There are rivets going all the way along, and there's a gap right here. So the wood actually went right underneath it. Get that out of there. Went right underneath it, and so I'm gonna have to get the new wood to go underneath there, and yeah, get the rest of this. Oh, I got these inside panels off. Started ripping the foam out, and good news but bad news, but to me it's good news. Because remember before, I poked around here, poked around in these foam spots and it was all dry. Well, this one is all wet. Can't really see in that one. Here it's dry, there it's dry, and these two are dry. But this along here is extremely wet. That's from that little piece. So this piece right over here is completely waterlogged. You can hear how that drops. And it's probably pretty well only up to about here.